Spooky season is here, and every year for the past 5 years, what I do is I turn all the lights off in my bedroom, I light some candles, and I put on the Thriller video and I watch it over and over and over again. It's been voted by many publications as the best music video of all time. It's the most famous music video of all time. And with over 600 million views on YouTube, you would think the Thriller video was the most watched video on YouTube. But actually, that accolade goes to Despacito. And, we're living in a different time and a different generation. If YouTube existed in the 80s and 90s, the Thriller video would have more views than Despacito. But we're living in a different time and a different era. But 600 million views and counting is a lot of views, and it is by far the most loved, most adored, and most famous music video of all time. And I want to talk about how sometimes art imitates life. I also want to talk about the woman who comes in the video, Ola Ray. She was actually a Playboy playmate in 1980, and there was a dispute about whether or not she should be in the video because of her Playboy background, because of her spunk, and because of her, doing raunchy photographs and all that kind of stuff. But it was eventually decided that she would be the girl, Michael Jackson's girlfriend in the video. And I think she's a perfect fit for the video. Everything about the video is perfect, in my opinion. Everything just works out fine. To me, it's just the best Halloween video of all time. And it should be a Halloween anthem. And over the past few years, I've been becoming more and more excited about Halloween. Halloween is best in America. I mean, Americans do the best Halloween parties of all time. Over here, Halloween is kind of a mediocre thing, kids trick or treat, but it's not the major affair or event like Halloween in America. So anyway, let's get to the video. So Michael Jackson drives up to a wooded, secluded area in the middle of the night. He looks at Ola Ray, his girlfriend, and smiles and says, "Honestly, we're out of gas." They get out of the car and they start walking. They're all on their own. It's dark. No one is around. Okay? That should give you a clue that something bad is going to happen. Then he turns to her and asks her to be his girlfriend and gives her a ring. And then he starts talking and he tells her, "I'm not like other guys. I'm not the same as everybody else. I'm not like other guys." And she agrees. She says, "Of course you're not like other guys. That's why I love you." And he reiterates to her, "I mean that I'm different." And he gives her that look. Now, if that were me, I'd be asking a lot more questions. I'd be saying, what do you mean you're different? How are you different? What is it about you that makes you so different? Is there something that I need to know? She doesn't ask those questions. And then suddenly he starts bending down, crouching down in pain. And then he looks up at her and says, "Go away." Now, if that were me, first of all, I wouldn't drive to a wooded, secluded area with anyone, not even somebody that I've known for my entire life, in the middle of the night. Never would happen. But it happens. But even if I did, the moment somebody looked up at me with those eyes, I would be running. I wouldn't wait. I would not wait to find out what's going to happen next. And so I'm going to inject a little bit of truth in this story. There was one night I was walking home from the train station on my own. It was a cold winter night, a very cold night. I wasn't walking in a deserted area. I was walking around houses. I was walking to my house. I'd made this journey many times. And it wasn't even that late. It was about 7 or 8 o'clock at night. And there were other people walking around. And there was this guy who looked at me. He was walking in the other direction and he stopped to look at me. And the look he gave me scared me so much that I just started running. I ran and I ran as fast as I could because I just felt that something was seriously wrong here. I didn't like how this guy looked at me. I was the fastest runner in my school. All I know how to do is run. I'm not a fighter. All I know how to do is run. So I start running. The next thing I know, this guy is telling me, he shouts to me, he says, "Don't run." So what do? I start running even faster. And as I'm running, I am literally gasping for air and it's freezing cold. The cold air is seeping into my lungs and my chest area is literally burning from being hit by the cold. The cold air is just filling up my lungs. It's a feeling that I cannot describe to you, and I will never be able to describe it fully because you have to be in that situation to understand. And I realized that this guy that stopped to stare at me, that was walking in the different direction, is actually following me. He is following me. And I'm literally in survival mode. I have no time to think. I just know that I don't want this guy anywhere near me. I run and I run as fast as I can. Literally, this guy is not far behind me, but I never ever look at him. If I look at him, I know that I'm going to start slowing down. If I look at him, it's going to interrupt what I'm doing, which is trying to get away from him. So I'm just thinking, like, minute by minute, I'm just like thinking, how do I survive this? How do I escape this? How do I get away from this? No one is going to help me. So I run to the shop and I go behind the counter. I duck down behind the counter in the shop. And obviously, he doesn't know that I'm behind the counter in the shop, but he does see that I've walked into the shop, but he doesn't know that I'm behind the counter. And thankfully, the guy that works there, the guy that works in the shop, that sees me come into this shop all the time, doesn't tell this guy that I'm behind the counter. And when he leaves, the guy that was chasing me, when he leaves, I go out the back door and I wait for a little while. I wait in the back and then I get home. So that was a personal story that I wanted to inject. But this lady here, Ola Ray, when Michael Jackson looks up to her, when he starts changing into a werewolf, she just stands there and screams. You know, she's standing there screaming, frozen in fear. In that time, she could have ran a long way away. As he was transforming into a werewolf, she could have started running a long time ago and gotten herself a good head start. I do think that the werewolf would have caught up with her, but at least run. Don't just stand there screaming, for God's sakes. But it was very good for the effect. So anyway, she runs off and the werewolf begins to chase her. He cuts down a tree and then the werewolf catches up with her very quickly and pounds her and basically puts his face right up next to her. She's screaming, she's scared, and we cut to the next scene and Michael Jackson and his girlfriend Ola Ray are in a cinema. We see that they're watching this film. And Ola Ray then leaves the cinema and she's too scared to stay in the cinema and watch the movie. She's too afraid. And Michael Jackson walks out, follows her out and teases her and says, "You were scared, weren't you?" And she pretends that she wasn't that scared. And then they start walking and the Thriller song comes on. It's Close to Midnight. And he dances and he sings and they walk and walk and walk. And then they walk past this graveyard. And the people who are buried in this graveyard start to walk out of their graves. And it's a very, very spooky scene. They start to walk out of their graves and they come out of their graves. They walk out of their graves. And what they do is they start crowding around Michael Jackson and his girlfriend. She clings to Michael Jackson, hoping he's going to help her. But when she turns around, she sees that Michael Jackson has become a ghost. And then we have the zombie dance. Clothes in tatters and the zombie dance. Now, where have we heard of zombies in the Laurie Vallow case? Wouldn't it be nice if we could see who people really are at the beginning of a relationship? Wouldn't it be nice if we could see the flaws in someone right from the start? Not a year down the line, not 2 years down the line, not 3 years down the line. But wouldn't it be nice if the person that we get involved with could show their real selves from the very beginning? Michael Jackson and the other ghosts do the zombie dance, the famous zombie dance that people have tried to recreate over the years, over and over again. And she stands there watching them. I would have been gone long time ago. I mean, I would have ran home. I would have ran to safety. I would have ran to a house. I would have run somewhere. I wouldn't stand there watching them dance. And when they finish the dance, she's still standing there staring at them. And she runs into this abandoned house, dark, spooky house. And the zombies follow her. They bang on the door. They bang hard. They rip the house open. It's almost like the house is made of wood. Very, very thin, very, very easy material to rip to shreds. And she screams and she sits on this couch that's covered in a white sheet. They come through the door. They come through the windows. They come through the floor. And they surround her. And they get closer and closer and closer. And then at the end of the scene, you're just left with Michael smiling at her. It's been a nightmare, an absolute nightmare. And she finds out that she's okay. She can walk off with Michael now. And then he looks at the screen and smiles, and we hear this big, big laugh. You know, everything is going to be okay. But is it? Can we imagine what their lives will be after this? Is Michael Jackson really the person that she thinks she loves? Or is he a zombie? Is he a zombie? Is he a zombie that's going to take her out one day? That's going to do harm to her one day? We never get to know that. But it's the end of the video.